makes a good counselor or psychologist, and what qualities do they need to possess?
Gosh, okay. I think this whole question of whether empathy can be taught is an important one to consider. You know, sometimes we can always tell when people are empathetic. Similarly, we can tell when people are apathetic, you know, or apathetic rather. So how much of empathy is, how much is empathy really an inborn quality? And can we train someone or ourselves to be more empathetic? I like to think there are ways that we can, you know, improve, you know, be more empathetic. But I also believe from my encounters with many people that there's just some natural born types who have it, you know, and these natural born types who have it, it's not because they're any better than anyone else. And if you know you're not one of those, oh, and sit and listen to you and give you advice, or just listen or whatever, help you through your difficulties. If you're not one of those, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means that you're different. You know, your giftings are different. So I do believe that there are people who are gifted in this area. It's just something that's inborn. And knowing this early in life, realizing that meaning and meaningful existence is important, and then taking those steps to acquire the skills. Now, those are important jumps that you need to make through those hoops. You know, the good ones always join those dots. You know, somehow they know what works for them. It could take a long time to get there. It may not be the linear journey that everyone wants. Oh, after JC, I go to uni, then I do master, then I do, you know, everything so nicely planned out. It could take you 30, 40 years and all kinds of disasters along the way. But that's part of evolving as a human being, isn't it? You know, it's just evolving into who you are really meant to be. And I think the good ones have experienced some form of suffering. You know, I've talked across the board. I remember my classmates as well. I look at the young ones who are so sweet when they're 22, 23, and I think, gosh, you know, but the level and the depth of understanding that they have, and that they're able to convey that empathy, you know, it's very different from someone who's actually suffered something, you know, either chronic illness, even at a young age, a great loss of some kind, you know, grown up maybe in a home that has not been very welcoming. You know, it's not to say that if you've had a perfect life, you can't do this job. Of course you can. But I just feel that for those who have suffered and have found the help that they need and come through it, they carry with them a certain kind of exceptional wisdom and insight, if you like, that those who have not suffered do not seem to have. And that is the thing that makes them sort of stand out, you know, when they interact with people who need help. You know, about kindred souls, we always recognize the kindred soul, you know, we always do. So when I'm talking to someone, for example, who's telling me all about her sad marriage falling apart or divorce or whatever, I know exactly what she's talking about. Not to mean that if you haven't been divorced, you can't help her. Of course you can. But it's like, I know because I have walked in your shoes. I know, you know, and if tears appear in my eyes listening to her grieving, they're genuine, you know. So that connection is so real. You get goosebumps and you just feel, my goodness, you know, I've actually connected with a real person to person. And that is what makes a good counselor, a good psychologist. You know, it's not just the theory and then I know how to apply 101 strategies. You know, sometimes I have clients who ask, oh, do you use CBT techniques? I'm like, yes, you know. So they've done all the research and they've read all the possible techniques that can be used. I'm like, yeah, I know this and I know that. But at the end of the day, let's just sit down and talk. You know, the CBT will come in somehow. I won't announce it and say, ta-da, now we are doing CBT. But, you know, really it's about, can I connect as a human being, you know, empathize deeply with your suffering, and in a way take you through so that you emerge on the other side a different person, a better version of yourself. You know, so that's the challenge. And when people do that, when they eventually come through, the satisfaction that I get is immense. You know, it's just fantastic seeing transformation happen right in front of your eyes. You know, you start off with a client who's crying away for first few sessions, and at the end of several sessions, you know, they've come to a place of peace, and you think, gosh, yeah, this work is really something, you know.
Yeah.
It's very rewarding that way.